All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are back with the Pain Points podcast where the world meets business uh, and everything in between. One half of the team here, Darius Bell, along with Samson Jagoras.
What's up? How you doing? Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed. A lot of people are not happy right now, but we are happy. We're
Always.
blessed. We're blessed and fortunate and have compassion for many people because stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And we're back to give you a scoop on it. We're here in your corner to prepare you, walk alongside you as you do, just like we are, building businesses, trying to take advantage of this opportunity we have to pursue the American dream, as they say.
Amen.
So, today's pod, we're going to jump into several different things. We're going to talk David Tepper. We're going to talk wealth creation. We're going to talk the Longshoremen strike that is going to impact you and us if something is not resolved. And we're going to talk about some good marketing towards the end of the pod, especially if you have a cause that's near and dear to you. The content examples we have today are really going to give you some good ideas on some things you can do. Before we jump in, any updates on how you doing and how the Jagoras gang is doing?
My Buffs won. Watched some football this weekend.
They sure did.
Did you watch that? Yeah. Did you watch the Alabama game? Alabama, Georgia?
Dude.
Wow. I thought it was going to be a blowout, and then I turned it off and came back, and Georgia came back like 34 points unanswered. But Alabama came out hot. I mean, they were doing, I think it was 28 to nothing in like the first half.
Whoa.
And then unanswered in the second half, and then it came down to the final. And there's that 17-year-old kid that's playing for Bama.
I did hear about that. He's 17 years old.
He's lights out, man. Wow.
Okay, so here's how bad the world is. You don't know where my mind went at first. My mind went at first to like, time out. Homeboy 17, girls.
Yeah.
I know you are a baller.
Yeah, I don't know if he just graduated early or if he's just one of those kids that started school early. And he
homeschool Christian dude.
Maybe. I doubt it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a post going around with him on his eye black. It said "kill everyone."
I did see that. Yeah,
they're comparing him to some guy who had like Psalms something on his face, you know. Which I mean, I don't think he meant like intentionally like kill anybody. He's just talking about like get out there and crush them in the game. So people are just way crazy over the top,
looking for anything. They're looking for anything.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah,
football's an intense sport, man. If you're not ready to get out there and smash some heads, then
okay. You know what? I blame that on the broadcasting though. They don't show just how intense it is. You know, that angle, that high angle.
Yeah,
you miss a lot. But when you're, I can only imagine the sounds when you're wearing that helmet, running up against 245-pound dudes like you did, like
in the trenches, man. Yeah, no way. It gets serious.
Be ready to kill or be killed.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, dude, Bell Family Gang is good. I'm just really excited. I enjoy these Monday mornings. I get to sit down with you and be with our listeners here. And so I want to lead us off with something that, in light of football, ironically enough, we're talking about football. Something I wanted to bring here this morning that if you're a football fan, this is something to be mindful of as you are trying to build your business and just culture at large. Here's a newsflash for you all. And you, Samson. This doesn't apply to you because I know you feel this way. But let's just say your team is the Alabama Crimson Tide or the Denver Broncos here in Colorado. Here's the newsflash for you. If you are not on the coaching staff, the trainers, the equipment, the players, the owners, you're a booster or anything, in some way where your money is your time and investment is going to the direct impact of what's on the field, it's not your team. It is not your team. And
you know, I got a name for those people.
What is it?
They're called Weasters.
Weasters.
Yeah, they say we are going to have a great season. We are not going to do anything. They are going to have a great season.
Well, here's what sparked this. Look at this clip here. I found this clip. I saw this clip. Look, it says a Falcons fan pulled this. This is from MLF football. It says a Falcons fan pulled a Saints fan down and repeatedly started crushing his head in, nearly killing the man. And look at this clip, guys. Look at this. This is at a game.
It's crazy, man.
This is absolutely crazy. And then, you scroll down and there's more clips. People fighting. And yes, there's booze involved potentially, but people fighting, it's a normal thing. We've seen these clips over the years. But this type of behavior is, one, it's unacceptable at a sporting event, being in public. But two, you don't have nearly as much invested as you think you do, to the point where you should be striking another person in a public space, potentially killing them, stumping their heads in over Kirk Cousins and the Falcons.
Yeah,
This is
100%. I think it's just a testament to the broader landscape of where we are at culturally,
yes,
that we're just so divisive. There's the fun, like smack talking and my team's better than yours, like in jest, like that's actually really, I enjoy that part of it.
mm-hmm.
But man, people just go way over the top.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to where we're at today, because I don't recall seeing, there's always been fights and stuff at games, because people get crazy, but I don't recall it as being as prominent as it is today.
Dude, there's even a guy that goes around to opposing teams stadiums.
Oh, I saw this guy in college.
Yeah. And he's trying to incite something. What are you gonna do? And I saw one clip, some guy spit on him, and he was
I think
gonna
it's
press
also
charges.
it's just him just trying to show ultimately like how ridiculous people are.
Yeah, but
He
it's
doesn't
also
even
like,
care. He doesn't even have a dog in the fight.
right.
He's just doing it to incite some sort of response out of these people, and these people are just losing their mind.
Yeah. And so it's just this weird thing, it's not even a weird thing. This is actually, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. This
Yep.
is the same thing that happened, first century and all throughout history, where the people get so invested in competition, sport, and entertainment, they
Yeah.
become desensitized to the real issues they're facing,
Yes.
completely disregarding, oh, I just spent $1,000 on the ticket and I'm struggling to pay my groceries this month, but I wanted to go see Bo Nix,
When you could have easily just watched it with way better angles from your home.
Yes, you absolutely could.
I
And still have
invested
some gas in your car.
yeah, I invested in Fubo this quarter because I wanted to make sure I could watch all the college games I wanted to. I've been denying it for years because I don't want cable. I've just refused to just pay for it. But this year, I was like, man, now that the Pac-12 network's done, I'm going to pick up some Fubo. It's been great. So yeah, I prefer that. But yeah, this is a sign of the times, man. Politically,
Yeah.
socioeconomically, culturally, neighborhoods, communities, teams.
It's all
Wow.
these secondary identification markers that we have. Oh, it's my party. It's my sexual identity. It's the school I went to. It's my team. Versus like, this is who I believe in. This is the God I serve and worship. This is the country I'm a part of. This is my family and their last name, and yours and our neighbors and our neighborhood. It's like there's so many secondary things that have become primary, and it's like this is why the gap continues to widen.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
this is your weekly reminder too of just where we're at in the cycle, right? I mean, coming
yep,
out of post World War II, it was one of the most pro-American, united times in our country of
mhm,
any other time in probably near history that this generation can remember. But
mhm,
people have so forgotten how that all started, what came of it, and
uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, on that note, Patrick Bet David has some great insight for us. He talks about 3 types of people in the world, and you brought this story to us here. I'm gonna pull it up, and
It's funny.
I
It's funny too. I'm bringing it up. I want to talk about it, but it's also funny because I reposted and made a comment echoing
mm,
what he was saying, and it played out in real time on my Twitter feed. So
wow,
let's watch it and then we can break it down.
bet.
So something interesting happened last weekend driving back from Sarasota with my 2 sons and Vinny. We're at a tournament for one of my sons, soccer tournament. They faced this one team. The moment the coach blew the whistle and they started playing, I'm like, wait a minute. What the hell is going on? We won the first game 5-2. And then I see this team. And I'm sitting next to one of the fathers, the father of number 10, player number 10, and he's recording the whole thing. And I'm seeing not one error being made. And I said, wait a minute, what are you guys doing here? He says, what do you mean? I said, why are you guys this good? He starts laughing. I said, how often do you guys practice a day? He says, oh, we don't practice. I said, what do you mean you don't practice? We train. What the hell is the difference?
Mm.
We train 4 hours a day. You train 4 hours a day? Yes. Okay. How do you do schooling with your kids? He says, oh, every kid that's on this team, their plan is to go to Premier League or play MLS. Who's the coach? Such and such. Who is he? Top 10 all-time scorer in the history of U.S. players. I Googled the name. Damn. Okay, good. How is he trained? Hardcore driving, pushing, challenging kids. I mean, guys, kids are stuck in the corner, like they could potentially make a mistake and they could get a corner. They don't just kick it out of bounds like a typical kid does. He forces you to fight to get out of it. He's telling me, the father's telling me, he says, watch, if they kick it out, you will be running laps and you will not play the rest of the game. I'm like, interesting. So I said, how many hours a day? 4 hours a day. I said, where were you guys ranked? He says, we were ranked last year #1 nationally. Really? Yeah. Obvious, it makes sense. So then we get in a car and we're driving back from Sarasota. They got their asses handed to them. Now we need to have a conversation. So, you know when you got two kids and you're talking to one of them, but you're really talking to both of them, and you kind of want the message to be received by both, and you love all your kids equally. So I'm sitting there saying, here's how life works. We have to make a decision on what you want to do. I said, in life, there's 3 different types of people. There's those who are interested. There's those that are committed, but then there's those that are obsessed. What do you mean? I said, look, you know, when I was a kid, I was interested in collectible cards. I was interested in baseball. I was interested in basketball. I wasn't committed. I was just interested. First time I went from interested to committed to obsessed was with bodybuilding. I became obsessed. Everything for me was about bodybuilding. Guess what? No one had to tell me to go to the gym. My dad never worked out. My mother never told me to go. I didn't have anybody who wanted me to go to the gym. I was full-blown obsessed after I read a book, and I'm like, I want to be Mr. Olympia.
So if you scroll up in the actual post, he breaks it down, but he basically says that he said the obsessed annoyed the interested, the committed respect the obsessed, and the interested will never understand the obsessed. And the point being is, if you're an entrepreneur who really wants to build something of meaning beyond just maybe just like a lifestyle company, or just being, there's a lot of interested people who call themselves entrepreneurs. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but I also have a W-2. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but like, oh, this is my side hustle. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but you know, it's just me, right? It's like, you can't really call yourself an entrepreneur if you have a job, right? If the business can't run without you. And so I think it's just a good reminder for everybody. But what I said is I made a post resharing that, and it said something along the lines of, this is why I don't have many friends, right, that I just hang out with, right? I have my wife and I have my business partners. And then everything else basically takes a back seat. And people were, beating me up saying, this isn't true, It's like, I said something along the lines, you only have time for 3 of these 4 things: family, fitness, friends, and faith. And I said, I already know what's going to take a back seat in the grand scheme of things outside of my business, right? It's going to be, I don't do guys trips. I don't golf. I don't hunt. I don't do any of that, right? And it's true. It's, if you're going to build something within a season, like, it is required of you to become obsessed. And
I totally get it. And sometimes I'm like, and sometimes honestly, sometimes I'm a little bit like, time out on the obsessed word, just because in all the motivational videos they're like, you gotta be obsessed, and this is a different context, and even what you're saying is different. It's like, if this really matters to you, if this is really what you're trying to do, who you're trying to become, it is your utmost prioritization along within the lines of those things that are non-negotiables, like our family, our children, so forth. But what's very clear, yeah, exactly, that was the word I was about to say, is prioritization. I actually just saw a clip from Alex Hormozy over this weekend. A college student was talking to him, and he was like, oh man, I'm trying to figure this out, I'm so busy. And Hormozy just is like, you can't even fathom what busy is. And then he tells him, like, no one gives a crap anyways. So, and the kid receives it. The kid's like, awesome. But the point is, from Hormozy's thing, what he was just saying, how you'll never have more time than you have now to prioritize. He's like, do you have kids? Do you have a wife? Kid's like, no. He's like, you have more time than you will ever have in your life. And no one
100%.
cares that you're busy. But the point being is, like, those who are really serious have the actions that follow that. Like we talked about last week, right? Faith without works is dead.
100%. Having owned a gym for a long time and been around fitness for a long time, the people who are obsessed, maybe even step down from that, just committed,
Mhm.
they organize their whole day around making sure they have time to go train, right? They don't go, here's everything else I got to do. And then if there's room left over, I'll exercise.
Yeah.
They go, no, this is the time on the calendar when I train, and everything else fits into that ecosystem.
Mhm.
And that's different. It's just prioritization, but that, I get enough from our friendships within business, partnerships, employees, meeting with, people in my business circle, that I don't feel the need to just go like hang out, watch football, drink, golf, whatever,
Mhm.
guys trip, that because it's just so low on the priority for me. And I think that people way overvalue that, like, oh, I need time with my friends. And so something has to give at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
You're going to sacrifice your health, you're going to sacrifice your family or your friendships or your faith. One of those things is going to give.
Well, and that's the thing too, that notion of I gotta have everything,
Yeah.
any and everything, and have it all at once too. And it's
Correct.
that's a fatal blow to whatever outcome you're trying to secure.
Yep.
That's really good. Shout out to Patrick Bet David. All right, next up we have here another one you brought to us, David Tepper.
Yeah, so this I didn't know much about this guy, but I wanted to read the thread because this kind of goes down the stream
That
of being obsessed. I mean,
yeah.
so Dave, if you guys who don't know who David Tepper is, he's worth over 20 billion, and he's the founder and CEO of Appaloosa Hedge Fund. He's had 20% annual returns for a decade and is famous
Oof.
for delivering 120% returns in 2008. Um, these were these are applied to trading and investing, but I would say as an entrepreneur building a business, you're also in a way an investor, right? And
True.
so these things apply to you as well. And so these were his top 7 rules for investing.
Roger
So
that. So you
you
want
want
me
me to
to
read
kick
it?
it off?
I got it. Number 1 is stay flexible in your strategy. So one of Temper's strengths is his flexibility. He adjusts his strategy based on the changing market conditions, whether it's stocks, bonds, or distressed assets. He remains adaptable and is not married to one type of investment.
Hmm.
So I would say the same is also true for your business, right? Like you have a strategy, you're going to go and going to work and you're going to execute that plan, but you also have to be aware enough to know when the market is shifting or pivoting and be able to adapt. One of my mentors in real estate, he always says every asset has its day, right?
Mm.
So every strategy has its day, every customer has its day. Everything works and nothing doesn't. But sometimes we're so committed to a certain way of doing things, we don't even see where the market's shifting or going. His second rule is focus on risk reward ratios. So Tepper's known for weighing the risk reward ratios meticulously. He invests in opportunities where the potential upside significantly outweighs the downside, even if the situation looks bad at the time. And so I would say that all of entrepreneurship is a number of calculated risks. You're trying to take uh, risks that don't potentially put the entire kingdom in jeopardy,
Mhm.
and allow you enough if you fail to actually recover.
That's good.
The third is stay humble and realistic. So Temper avoids hubris by acknowledging the market's ability to surprise. He doesn't assume he'll always be right. Don't let pride get in the way of making the right decision. See that way too often, right? And it generally starts with people start becoming obsessed with their competitors. They're spending more time thinking about what their competitors doing instead of less time thinking about the market, the consumer, the customer, how they're going to build a better product, how they're just going to be generally better,
Mhm.
because they think they're so good and everybody's copying them or whatever it might be, right? So same thing
That's
happens in
good.
business all the time.
Yep.
Invest when the world is ending. You've heard, this is the famous Warren Buffett quote: "Be fearful when others are greedy, greedy when others are fearful." We've been talking about that a lot based off of everything that's happening in the market. Like, be prepared to act swiftly because there's going to be some great opportunities setting up here in the near future.
That's
Number
good.
5, don't overreact to market noise. I would say business is fast, but it's also slow. And so we tend to overreact to customer issues, overreact to employee problems, overreact to competitors, whatever it might be. Don't confuse motion and progress. Be calculated in your decision making. Number 6, bet big when the odds are in your favor. So, this could be a unique business opportunity. This could be a competitive advantage. This could be a competitor closing. This could be cornering a market. You name it. And then number 7 was understand central bank policy. So I've got a lot of questions about why we talk so much about interest rates, why we talk so much about the cost of capital on this podcast. But if you're an entrepreneur, at least one that's really trying to go and grow, at some point you're going to need to leverage debt in order to do that. And you also need to understand that the decisions that the Federal Reserve is making and how that impacts interest rates is impacting the stock market. It's impacting the cost of capital. It's impacting the flow of funds. It's impacting how consumers feel, how they're thinking about spending money. So it's something that you should always be paying attention to.
That's good, man. Shout out to our boy here, Daniel, McDaniel, MNKE Daniel on X. That was really good, a really good share. One thing that stands out to me is just something I've been talking about and with family and thinking about is number 3 here: stay humble and realistic. The genuine lack of humility across the board in many arenas and situations with people. We know that what the scriptures say about pride.
It comes before the fall.
It comes before the fall. It will be your demise, and that's real. And if you look culturally, we even have Pride months, right? And I'm not even saying anything about people affiliated with it. Just the notion of like pride is something that I need. That's an asset. Having confidence and taking maybe lowercase p pride in your work be excellent, but
don't confuse pride with confidence. Right?
Pride makes you a slave. Pride makes you blind and various other things, and it doesn't work in your favor. So shout out to David Tepper and Meek Daniel here on X.
Yep. So on the note of the market changing, right,
Mm-hmm.
and paying attention, this next one is from a guy who I really like his stuff. His name's Andrew Chen. He was at Uber in the early days. He went on to be a part of A16Z. And this is his breakdown of what he sees as the 5 predictions for the future of wealth creation. More specifically, the creator economy is the new frontier of innovation. And we've been talking about that for how long now?
Years, almost 3 years.
So here's his hot take broken down by Hosun. And I'll let you read this one because I feel
Roger that. We got
some-
Hosun_Chung on X. So Andrew Chen, this man got Uber their first 100 million users. That's phenomenal, by the way. Then exploded Tinder, Dropbox, and Zynga's growth. We all know those names, as Samson alluded to. These are his 5 predictions on the future of wealth creation and why we should care. All right, so meet Andrew Chen, the former. Actually, I'll go down. Excuse me. Network effects will become more crucial than ever. That's prediction number 1. Network effects suggest the product's value increases when more people use it. Think about a social network. With one user is useless, but once all your friends are on it, then it becomes the most valuable thing to you.
100%. So this is also the concept that like can be applied to service as well, or what's known as the law of diffusion of innovation. Of this is why it's important to be building reviews. This is why it's important to be telling the story, putting yourself in front of people in the market, creating content. It's not enough to just have a good quality product. At the end of the day, if people don't know you exist, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and the truth is, you probably don't have a good quality product if people aren't telling other people about it.
Right, like you could, like the sentiment is how many people are tagging and sharing and reposting what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Andrew Chen continues on. He's with another quote. Once you get these up and running, it cuts off the number of new entrants. As building products becomes easier with AI, network effects will become the key to success. It's not just about being first to market, it's about creating an ecosystem that's hard to replicate. Put it in the terms of more people, more relevant, more aware of this from a a marketing standpoint, your brand, right? That would be one implicating notion that you could relate to this to understand what he's getting at. Number 2, AI will
real quick. I don't want to glaze over that post that he put in there, but basically he's also talking about how network effects help you build a better product.
Yeah.
So if you have new users or new customers, then you get enhanced technical capabilities from user feedback and data.
Hmm.
right? It's really hard to build something into the void, but if you're getting feedback, right, then you can improve the value proposition, improve the product or the service, right? And then you get higher organic search, word of mouth. As the product gets better, then you get more users, and the cycle
Hmm.
repeats itself over and over again.
Facts. Facts. Number two here, AI will transform content creation to near zero cost. Very true. We are seeing that. It- just look at ChatGPT, what it's capable of doing just for you. Uh, Chen asks, what happens when all content creation costs go to zero? This isn't just about cheaper content, it's a fundamental shift in how we create and consume media.
Yeah, and just on that note, people are always talking about how AI is taking jobs, but technically it's actually deflationary, right? I used this example last night over dinner, but salesperson, right? Maybe I want to scale my sales team. Traditionally, I've had to go hire more salespeople, right? Which means more salaries, more taxes, more commissions paid up front.
Hmm.
And in turn, right, I then have to increase the cost that I'm shipping down the line to the customer.
Yep.
But if I could do the same with a quarter of the salespeople, because there's a lot of automated pre-qualifying conversations, appointment booking, and things like that that are getting people ready and primed up to sell for one person to close them. It's exponentially better for the client and the consumer long term.
Yeah.
So it'll enhance what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it'll
Absolutely.
change roles and functions, right? So
That's really good. I'll dig it. All right. Number three here, Web3 and tokenization will revolutionize community building. We're moving from users to stakeholders. Imagine joining a community where your participation directly translates to ownership and value. That's the future of social media, very much so. We haven't even seen the rise of blockchain social, in particular Bitcoin social, but that's growing with tremendous momentum. And so he's right here.
yeah, imagine instead of just users paying
Yeah,
every time they subscribe every single month, they're buying equity into that platform.
yeah. Unfortunately, many people uh, they view tokenization through the eyes. Many people that don't understand tokenization, they view it through the eyes of the NFT craze that happened a couple years ago, and so
100%.
they've already shut off their ears to it and their eyes to it because they're like, oh, my NFT didn't go to $2 million, and that wasn't the point. That was just proof of concept that this actually works. Uh,
100%.
and so, number four, the creator economy will reshape business models. Increasingly, the creators need better ways to make money. They're heavily dependent on algorithms, and income can be inconsistent. Facts. That's why more and more creators are shifting to subscription models and owning their audiences.
You and I have been talking about this forever, but just to be a straight creator over time, you lose value because you're just a brand that
Yep.
helps other brands build their own business. This is an example would be Mr. Beast moving to selling chocolate, right? Or selling some sort of product where he has control over the end versus taking a brand deal.
Mhm. Before we move to number five here, he says, if you're a founder, creating content becomes your moat. Your audience warms up to you gain previously impossible trust at scale. It's this generation's real estate. You either
And
pay rent by consuming others' content or harvest attention yourself by creating your own. That's good. Uh,
it's a good
and
reminder that 90% of people just consume content, 9% engage, and 1% create content today. Still,
facts, facts. That was really good. I mean, I yeah, I don't have anything to add to any of that. I just think it's a wonderful place to be in right now. I think actually the one thing I will add is something I've told people over the last couple of years that I've seen be really helpful to people, which is one, I can't take credit for it. The first one is it comes Gary Vee was saying this years ago before it was true. And for all this flack that people give Gary, he pays attention to this space and he knows what he's talking about. Documenting over creating. Um, that perspective is one of the best perspectives you can lay hold of to make your content creation, your community building lighter than it initially appears with all the stuff you have available to you. And then the second is one thing I use a lot is I tell people there are no rules. Like we're doing it now, right? Look at him. He's capturing this. There are no rules, and where this came to me is because one time I was talking to a guy who is an incredible businessman, and he was worried about getting on TikTok because he was like, "Dude, I don't want to be dancing and stuff." I said, who told you you had to dance?" And he bust out laughing, and he was like, "No one told me that." And I was like, "Exactly, dude. There are no rules. Like, what do you mean you have to dance? You don't got to dance." And that's
But
part of the
if you can, I mean,
if
might
you
be a
can,
competitive advantage.
right? You better dance while you're breaking down a P&L or something. Um, but that's the point, which is like all the social media gets a bad rap because yeah, a lot of the nonsense, but part of that is because the people that are not who are not nonsensical people are sitting there watching it instead of producing it. We talk about that 2% maybe of people are producing at this point. Um, and so all these quality, wise, good people are not there. And so what you're left with is that's the market is dancing people and twerk videos or something. I you know, but that's the point is there are no rules. And if you document rather than focusing on this big, robust creation strategy, a great example you guys should go check out is Midday Squares. They do a fantastic job on their social media. And they're one of many people that do this, but they do a fantastic job of documenting the journey of building their business, creating their market in their community, and it is a phenomenal example of how to do it without being quote unquote pro at this.
Look at that right there. I
Yep.
just said every Monday on the Painted Profits podcast where the world meets business.
Hey, there we
Powered by
go.
Clear Acquire, right? Document as you go.
Document.
It's not that hard.
Nope, not that hard at all. All right, next up here. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the longshoremen strike. So this just got my attention over the last couple of days, and I've been thinking about some of the implications on it. But to give you guys a more polished view of what's happening with the longshoremen strike, we're going to jump into this article from the AP, and it has a great breakdown. So, if you don't know what the longshoremen strike that potentially is happening tomorrow is, the AP covers it right here. Can you see that, Samson?
No, sir.
All right, let me fix that. Boom.
There we go.
Okay, so the International Longshoremen's Association is demanding significantly higher wages and a total ban on automation of cranes, gates, and container moving trucks that are used in the loading or unloading of freights at 36 U.S. ports. Notice that I said 36 U.S. ports. This is not just some one off that's happening in California or in New York somewhere. This is 36 U.S. ports, ranging from, I'm pretty sure, all the way down to the south into Texas. And so we're talking multiple points. Uh, And and so the AP here, they give a decent breakdown. It says, determined to thwart the automation of their jobs, about 45,000 dock workers along the U.S. East and Gulf Coast are threatening to strike on October 1st, a move that would shut down ports that handle about half the nation's cargo from ships. The International Longmen's Union is demanding significantly higher wages. We just read that part. It's a strike. If a strike were resolved within a few weeks, consumers probably wouldn't notice any major shortages of retail goods. But a strike that persists more than a month would likely cause a shortage of some consumer products, although most holiday retail goods have already arrived from overseas. Here's the kicker, though. A prolonged strike would almost certainly hurt the United States economy. Even a brief strike would cause disruptions. Heavier vehicular traffic would likely be at key points around the country as cargo was diverted to West Coast ports, meaning having to go around. They can't enter there. So now we got delays, more usage of resources, where workers belong to a different union not involved in the strike. And once the Longshoremen's Union eventually returned to work, a ship backlog would likely result. For every day of a port strike, experts say it takes 4 to 6 days to clear it up. The Longshoremen's Union and United States Maritime Alliance, which represent the ports, haven't met to negotiate since June, when the union said it suspended national talks to first complete local port agreements. No further national contract talks have been scheduled. Um, Here's a little bit more context here. Top scale port workers now earn a base pay of $39 an hour, just over $81,000 a year, but with overtime and other benefits, some can make excess of $200,000 annually. Neither the union nor the ports would discuss pay levels, but a 2019 to 20 report by Waterfront Commission said about a third of longshoremen based there made $200,000 or more. Now that seems like a significant amount of money, which it is. But the point is not the money. Remember that the point is that they are looking at the threat of their jobs through automation, and that's really what this is about: job security.
It's
Uh,
about job security and it's like the pros and cons of the union. It's funny. My dad and I have actually been talking about this for over a year. So
mm,
this has been heating up for a long time.
mhm,
The crane operators, those guys could make about 250,000 plus a year.
right.
But people don't understand how powerful the the union is when they say, "Hey, we're going on lunch." Like most businesses say, "Hey, I'm taking lunch." Right? The port still keeps running. One
Mhm,
person goes down. They all take lunch at the same time, and everything stops until they come back. So they have a lot of power and control
mm,
over over the ports, and it's a really really big deal. I mean, this is right up there with what happened during COVID when products just couldn't ship, just due all the restrictions and limitations and boats and maritime and
mhm.
travel and all that good stuff. Um, so yeah, it's massive. I don't know what the repercussion is, but it is something to take notice of if you're an entrepreneur because it could have a material impact on the total economy.
Very much so. I mean, just it, not just access to stuff in stores and food and stuff like that, or your desired deliverables, but we're talking even fuel
Yeah,
is impacted
absolutely,
by this. And
100%.
so, yeah, it has the potential. Dude, this is something my wife and I were talking about over the weekend, which is uh, many of us don't know what it's like to. Maybe you went through 2008, 2009 like you did, but we don't really know what it's like to see our level of comfort dissipate. Let's just say 3 levels, and it not just with a storm or hurricane, but we're talking 36 potential ports. This is significant, and it shouldn't be overlooked. One thing to note before we transition is uh, many people are calling on President Biden to step in because the president can't step in. There is some historical precedent of the president stepping in this situation and making people keep working. Uh, but but here's the thing, they won't do that because, uh, they gotta get an endorsement from these guys, politically,
Correct.
and they're fighting for that, whereas most of the workers are for Trump,
Yeah,
and so they're in an interesting place where it's
especially
gonna
when
make.
the lion's share of your income's coming from
Yeah,
overtime pay. He wants to remove all taxes on the
mhm,
overtime pay.
yeah, yeah, and so it's very interesting because, they could do this, but it will shoot Kamala in the foot, essentially, because the
Yeah,
people that are for her are the people. Like, fine, go ahead and strike. I don't care. And so you would essentially be saying, screw my friends to make sure that the people in the country keep functioning as it should.
yeah,
But hey, who are we? And so it's a real chance for leadership here at the end of his chapter and at the end of his book. If he wants to do it, there is an actual chance if this goes the way that could. So
yeah.
all right. Next up, Morgan Stanley on how M&A will shape up at the end of the year. So I saw this report, uh, and it was just talking about how it was more Morgan Stanley's excuse me, it was Morgan Stanley's take on the outlook of M&A, and it happened, it came out a while ago, but there were some interesting things that I thought that I saw in there, that I wanted to just highlight, that these big boys are, they're laying out certain things. But one of the things they said, activity overall this year, they expect it to increase at least by 15%. And we've seen this, but it's just more people interested in what is happening, M&A, entrepreneurship through acquisition. Uh, but they estimated that the total value of deals this year will reach 4 trillion.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think that's also just due to repricing, right? So pre-COVID,
mhm,
everything was valued on like future growth, and growth was the strategy,
mhm,
and that's shifted over the last going on 5 years towards cash flow,
yep,
profitability, EBITDA, and I'm seeing some companies that were valued at nearly 300 million trade at 90 million,
mm,
values that were at 30 million, retrade at 5 million, and actually get under contract. You're seeing it in real estate as well. So that gets everybody excited. at least from a corporate M&A strategy,
Yeah.
because now there's some real bolt-on acquisitions that are looking pretty attractive.
Facts. Now, some key sectors leading the charge. About 30% of all M&A activity this year, at year's end, will be driven by technology, particularly AI, cybersecurity, and fintech. Healthcare is going to represent about 25% of the deals, and they expect energy, when it all shakes out, to make up about 20% of all M&A transactions this year. One thing that came from this report was that cross-border transactions is going to grow around 12 to 15%. So people moving beyond the United States, and then specifically Asia Pacific and Latin American markets that are heavy driving economic growth right now and have favorable regulatory environments. There's some implication for buyers that I won't get into them a whole lot, but the biggest thing they were saying is that financial planning and valuation assessment. They were really stressing that focus on businesses with strong growth potential, which, yes, we know that in robust finances, but the notion of time and detail and planning and really getting the numbers right, not just getting caught up in the wave of the emotional side of this is an opportunity of the lifetime, but get it right, get the numbers right. Don't be on the wrong side of the deal.
Yeah, it's a great lesson for, from the upstream moving to the downstream.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people are just chomping at the bit to do a deal. And a lot of times the best deal is the one that you walk away from. And it ends up coming full circle. Or you think it's the best deal until you see the next best deal. Mm-hmm. So develop deal flow, have an opportunity pipeline. Don't get too caught up in one deal. Or in trading, we would call it never marry the trade, right? Which means you're just dating the trade and you can break up at any point in time.
Okay. Well, we'll shift gear here in this last segment here, marketing brand. I have 4 clips today, and for maybe I was like combating some of the negativity I see around me, where I was like all feel good with the content I was pulling in.
I like it. We need that.
But I want to share. This first one here is how you take advantage of a very bad situation with a good idea. Now, as you all know, which we didn't even talk on this much, but the Hurricane Helen or Helena or Helene.
I think it's Helen.
Okay, I heard Helene once. It's destroyed a lot of land and virtual cities, which is scary. But I saw this clip, and this is not even actually related to business at all, but I'm going to show you how you can flip it. So this clip here, can you see that? You probably can't see that, actually. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. Where we at? Sorry, guys. First world problems. Okay, so this clip here.
Is there supposed to be no sound?
Can you hear that? Guys, I'm struggling with some first world. Oh, okay. It says my browser has lost connection to screen share audio. Try sharing your screen again. Give me 1 second. Let's try this. No, guys, this is our first time ever doing this, guys. Forgive me for this. We've never done a podcast before. So let's just try this again. All right. Present, share screen. Boom. Okay.
I can always try.
Let me see. Get it. I'm going to come through for you guys. Just bear with me. All right. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's the wrong one, but just wanted to make sure it could be seen. Okay. Here we go.
These are things we need to know.
You got sound there?
Yep.
Okay.
There we go, guys. I did it.
We don't have a key to get in our house and the lock is dead. So we're going to have to break into our house.
Yeah.
These are things we need to document so we remember in the future. The contractor says that's a new door.
But the doorbell's working.
That's a new door.
The doorbell's on. Why is this dead?
Okay, so let's just say you have a product that solves that issue. It's an unfortunate situation for many people, but here's a ripe time to show, hey, in the event of water, you're still going to be able to get back into your house. You're not going to have to commit a crime to get back into your house. or incur more cost on top of the insurance not already covering what you got. So it's like you can leverage that. Obviously, there's a degree of sensitivity you probably want to operate with when attaching to certain things, but the
Right.
opportunities are there to flip a bad situation to come up with a good idea and provide a great solution to people if you have the right outlook on
Yep.
it.
Yeah, good vision on that. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you can do it in a very tasteful way, right?
exactly. You totally can. You don't have to be distasteful about it to communicate. There's a better way to do something. Okay, so this next one comes Internet Hall of Fame. It's a one of those wholesome videos, but it got me thinking. If you have, as we talk about community building and brand building, if you have something a lot of people want to be a part of, or a lot of people want to get behind, or your friend group, maybe you and your 7 closest friends, if you have that many, you decide that we want to start doing this and helping people go out and capture it, go out and capture you blessing somebody. And these guys did this. I didn't get their name, but they did this.
Are you playing it?
I sure am. See, this is our second ever podcast. All right, here we go.
Question for you. Would you rather have $200 or this mystery back to school backpack for your kids? You want the backpack?
Yeah.
If you had $200, what would you do with it?
Pay a bill.
Pay a bill?
Yeah.
What kind of bill?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
You guys been going through some things recently?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Pianya.
All right, open it up.
If you could have anything for this school year, what would you want to have?
A Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well-
he's my favorite character.
Here, let's go get it for you for free right now.
Wait, it's free?
Let's do it.
Right there.
There it is. How's back to school been for you guys?
It's a struggle, but we try
Yeah.
to make sure he has everything he needs.
What are the main bills you guys have to pay?
Rent. So we're usually hitting that cutoff before eviction.
What kind of things do you guys try to teach them?
Trusting who he is instead of what the world would say.
I mean, you guys said you got bills to pay and you still chose to give to your kid. And so I want you guys to have the $200 anyways. Before we check out, I forgot I have one more surprise. We're with a company called Kid Doodle TV. It's a free, safe streaming service for kids, and their passion is actually feeding families. And so they wanted me to come here today and find the family with the biggest heart and the best kid, and to surprise you guys with $10,000 for groceries for an entire year. It's the least we could do for you, so you can focus on the things that you need to get out of that cycle. So if you guys had any advice to any other struggling parents,
So, it is awesome, and you could have something that matters to you that much, that is actually good for your neighbors and people in your community. It doesn't take much to go do that. All you need to do is get some people behind you, and it's easier. It's not as difficult as it sounds.
Yeah.
Granted, Kid Doodoo is a more robust platform and things like that. But I was just like, man, you know what? Show some people that are just. It can be anything. It could be. It can be a number of different things. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, given all the chaos going on in the world right now,
Mhm. And then and this next one here, I just titled it "People Follow People," and it was a very interesting thing. I don't know exactly where it would play out in business, but it got me thinking of like people follow people. So there's something you could do that perhaps was a business opportunity or a marketing idea that could get other people to latch on. And I found this just example of people doing this at a football game of all places instead of punt throwing fists. And so he taps the guy on the shoulder. He says, "Hey, tap that guy on the shoulder." No, you tap her on the shoulder. And he keeps going, and it's something as silly as that in that moment at a game, but it's that notion of it doesn't take much. Like it takes a little bit of courage to take that first step, but after that, if it's something as clear as that, you have to be very clear no matter what you're doing, be it something noble or not. You have to be really clear in what and ask in the ask,
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised how easy it is to get someone on board. Notice no one turned around and was like, dude, I'm watching a game. Like, leave me alone. It was just like,
The
before you know, you
demeanor.
got, before you know it, you got 10 people looking backwards when they're not even watching a game. And it becomes this thing where other people are buying into like getting this done. And so I thought that was pretty sweet. And the last piece here, again, on the whole care thing, maybe there's a cause that you want to be a champion of. And going back to our point about documenting versus creating, my man, well, this comes from Science Girl, but this guy Visual Feast had a little post here on opossums, by the way, which I think I'm 30, going 35 years old when I realized that there's an O in opossums, which is
we
sad.
just say possums.
Just say possum, yeah. So check this
So
out.
it occurred to me when I was with my little shy buddy Horace last time that a lot of you guys don't know about possums. So a couple of fun facts for you. Possums only live 3 to 4 years. I know that's so short. 3 to 4 years. They are also immune to a lot of like venomous bites like snakes or spiders or bugs, which is awesome. And they also have such a low body temperature that they are immune to rabies. A lot of people think they have rabies. They look scary, but they're not. They're actually very sweet animals. So if you ever see a possum, just let it do its own thing. All right. It's only got 3 to 4 years. Let's make them good, right? Of course. Also, one other thing, they are very good for the ecosystem. So they eat a lot of little bugs and stuff like that that you don't want in your house. So they're actually helping the environment. And they also eat dead things. So that roadkill that's on the side of the road that you don't want to deal with, Horace will, won't you? Little sanitation dude. He's great at his job, guys. He knows what he's doing. Well said.
So nothing revolutionary or mind blowing, but let's just say that's a portion in which that dude has now actually positioned himself as an expert in possums.
Yeah.
And it might be your thing might not be possums, but your thing might be, did you know that there are 1,236 chapstick manufacturers just in the United States alone? It could
Yeah.
be anything. In the middle of all of this information that we have available to us at all times, some people call it signal. The lack of signal has never been lower. The lack of true connection has never been lower because we don't take the time to slow down and actually communicate with clarity. And so, all of those examples today are just
that last one takes me back to what we talked about last week, which is the 4 levels of luck: blind luck, luck from motion, luck from awareness, and luck from uniqueness.
Mhm.
He's luck from motion, awareness, and uniqueness. I mean, he's got the market cornered on expert possums.
Right. And he's playing up to the cute factor of the little creature that normally looks like crazy when you see it, right? It's like
People don't like him because they look like giant rats. That's why.
So that's it. It's just a great example of if you have something you want to do, take the documenting versus creation approach. Put yourself out there. It's easier said than done, but don't compare yourself to the finished products of people you see out there in the world and get frustrated or intimidated by not being there. Just take what you know, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, your experiences, whatever it is, events that just happened to you, and share that. And share it truly from your perspective and be clear when you do it and be yourself. And you have a great shot to build some momentum when it comes for your brand or your business or your department or your team or your cause or whatever. So
love it.
That being said, that's the pod today.
It is.
Until next time, guys, take care.
Peace.